Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 154 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas, that is all sitting ready to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film, at the end of the day, is a revelation film. It's going to have a lot of twists and turns that's going to change our view of both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, which really is a big deal by Disney and Lucasfilm because, well, we do know that this movie really does determine the future of the Star Wars franchise and where Star Wars as a whole is going to stand after the Skywalker saga comes to an end. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intense between both Rey, Palpatine, the Dark Acolyte, and Rey's father. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that a description of Rey and the Dark Acolyte in a standoff, face-to-face during their lightsaber duel, where it's described that the consciousness of Palpatine has taken over the body of the Dark Acolyte, where he begins to give Rey a couple of lectures about the dark side, and certain truths about her father and herself. Additionally, it's described that one of the scenes explains that Palpatine reveals a big secret to Rey about her father, that it was her father who found a way to the beyond many years ago, where Palpatine was able to use his and influence the dark side acolytes to track him down and steal the backups of his hyperspace routes to the beyond, as well as the discovery of what's described as spiritual pathways that Palpatine used to enter the beyond as a spirit. Additionally, it's said that her father went to the beyond and never returned to understand the origins of the dark side and more. Palpatine also reveals that he has influenced many of Rey's powers from the very start, and it's one of the main reasons why she would have nightmares on the world of Jakku when she slept. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we do know that Episode 9 is going to have a lot of revelations just like this in the actual film itself. And the one great thing about Episode 9 is that we also know that this movie is going to have a lot of revelations related to Palpatine and the character of Rey. There's a certain connection between these two characters that's going to be explained in greater depth in Episode 9. Now, one thing that I do want to touch on here is, of course, the mention of spiritual pathways. Now, we do know that there are hyperspace routes that lead to other regions of the galaxy, as well as the discovery of hyperspace routes to the unknown regions, and, of course, the beyond itself. But what's really intriguing is, of course, the discovery that Rey's father made of spiritual pathways, that Palpatine as a spirit, he basically influenced the Dark Acolytes to track down Rey's father and discover these spiritual pathways. This way, Palpatine would be able to make his way to the beyond in order to fully regain his consciousness to the point where he is able to take over one of the bodies of the Dark Acolytes. Now, of course, we do know that in Star Wars Legends, an actual host needs to willingly allow, needs to permit a spirit to go into one's body. And we actually saw a great example of that in Dark Empire, where Luke Skywalker is talking to Palpatine, and Palpatine, tells Luke, you can permit me to enter into your body, and you and I can rule the universe as one. So they're doing something like that with the Dark Acolyte in The Rise of Skywalker, which is really going to be a very interesting side of this franchise. As far as Rey's father, it's described that he actually went over to the Beyond to research and or to better understand the origins of the galaxy and, of course, the dark side itself, and never returned. And Palpatine knows about this. So we do know that Palpatine and Rey's father worked very closely at one point in time before Palpatine's death, and ever since Palpatine died on board of the Death Star 2 by the hands of Darth Vader, his spirit was able to survive somehow, some way. And that is all going to be explained in The Rise of Skywalker in greater depth. And honestly, I cannot wait to see exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to explain how his spirit was able to live on once this movie finally drops on December 19th of this year, is when J.J. is going to be able to talk more about, his decisions and how George Lucas was involved in the film, in Palpatine's role in Episode 9, etc. So what I really like about this is that this really is making, of course, a lot of the characters connected to a certain extent. Yes, I know that the galaxy is a very big place, but at the same exact time, these are movies focusing on certain characters that do have connections on their own. And that's a very interesting way of Star Wars. We do know that there's not only that, but there's also a lot of parallels that we are going to see in Episode 9 in comparison to the prequels and the originals, etc. So, the whole entire Rey's father dynamic in The Rise of Skywalker is going to be a very interesting side. We do know that J.J. Abrams confirmed that there is a lot more to the story of Rey's parents than what we already know, that will be explained in this movie in greater depth to a certain extent, where we are going to look at Rey as a different character in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. So anyways guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.